It's hard to believe I started making YouTube videos 7 years ago now, and I started by making videos on this Dustopper dust separator, and then I made this cart for it. And just for old time's sake, let's go ahead and give it a big spin like that first video. It's still working great, but it's time to upgrade it to something even better. Many of you might be following from my very initial videos, which is kind of rare for YouTube, but they performed very well. Maybe some luck, but simply I just saw a brand new product on the shelf at Home Depot and I wanted to start making YouTube videos. So I saw that as an opportunity. Like I said, performed very well, millions of views right off the start. Of course, that was very beneficial for Dustopper too. So, I've been in contact with them throughout the years. It turns out they're made in America up in Michigan, only a couple hours away from me. So that's really cool. This is the Pro version. They sent me this to check out before it was released. I actually still use the original orange Dustopper dedicated under my miter saw, but in this video they sent us a whole new system to check out. But just real quick, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but I still do get a lot of comments and questions asking what this dust separator even is, what's the point? The dust separator is capturing 99% majority of the dust and debris in a 5-gallon bucket instead of all that going into your vacuum and clogging your filter. Using a vacuum like this in this type of environment or on a job site, you know just how fast that filter can get clogged. Then it just loses its suction. The vacuum doesn't work like it should. So you have the option of using these fleece bags to capture all your dust and debris and keep it off the filter. The problem here is these add up and get expensive very fast. Depending on what you're doing with it, it does not take long to fill these bags up. So a huge cost there. When I first started, this was my dust collection. I hooked this up to every single tool, cleaned the shop floor with it, you name it. And a lot of you watching, you probably still use something like this as your only source of dust collection. So if you're relying on these, how expensive that's gonna get. So the point here is you make the one-time purchase, everything goes in your bucket, super easy to pop that off, dump this out. Your vacuum and your filter always stays clean and maintains the suction. Now onto the new and exciting stuff. This is the Dustopper Turbo Bagger. More on the bagging aspect of that later on. But this is a whole system that they're going to be offering on top of a fine turbo dust extractor. I thought I'd go ahead and disassemble the unit to reassemble it and show you the components as I go. But starting with the main power behind the units, the fine Turbo 1 dust extractor. Really great, compact, powerful dust extractor. It's got the outlet there with the automatic, when you turn the tool on, the dust extractor will automatically turn on with it. Just a really awesome, compact dust extractor. Keep in mind this is essentially a prototype, so some things may be slightly different when it's actually released. But from there we have this plate that's molded to fit a 5-gallon bucket. Just fits right down in there perfectly. Get that attached with a few screws. Now the 5-gallon bucket just sits on here nicely. I've already got the suction hose on the bucket. As you can see, there's a quick connect fitting down here on the extractor. Just plug that in. The main feature here is we're actually going to be collecting all the dust in these cheap plastic bags rather than the bucket. So the bucket doesn't have to be removable from the unit. Of course, if you wanted it to, you could come up with a latch or strap or some sort to get it attached here onto this plate. But since it doesn't need to be removed, we've got pre-drilled holes. Go ahead and just get it attached. Now I can go ahead and get one of these bags installed. And then add the Dustopper Pro. To ground the whole unit and reduce static charge, it comes with this grounding cable here. There's a wing nut on the Dustopper. Then we can just plug it into the port on the vacuum. And if you still want to be able to plug a tool in here, so like I said, the vacuum automatically turns on when the tool turns on, and go ahead and just use one of these simple adapters, plug that in, plug in our ground, and you can still plug a tool in. And even when this is in manual mode, it's all still grounded, not just in the tool option mode. So it's always grounded this way. And last but not least, our hoses. It has the 2 sweeping elbows on both ends to restrict airflow as little as possible. Do that from the extractor to the Dustopper. And then our pickup hose from the Dustopper to whatever tool or whatever we're trying to do. I've got it plugged in. Now as I turn it on, the suction hose is going to suck all the air out of the bucket and pull that bag tight. I don't know if it translated on video, but another great benefit of this vacuum is how quiet it is. That is super quiet. Figured I'll go ahead and plug a tool in to show you that feature, because once you have this, it really is so handy. Flip that over to tool. Now as I turn the tool on, vacuum turns on. So let's talk about the bagging aspect of this. Being able to bag everything up in these cheap plastic bags. These are literally pennies. So when I was talking about price of these earlier, you know, the bags that I need for my vacuums, they range from $8 to $12, and these are pennies. So huge cost savings there. So just speaking about what I personally do, you know, I'm out here in the country, so what I typically do when my bucket's full, I'll go outside, throw it on the pile, and burn it with my scrap wood. But you know, the weather's not always perfect. Maybe it's raining, or I don't want to take the time to do that right then. So I can just pop this off, set the bag aside, put a new one in and keep working, or just throw the bag away. You know, that's maybe what a lot of you have to do. You have to dispose of your dust and debris somehow. So it's already bagged up. You're on a job site, you gotta bag it up and take it with you. Boom, it's already done, nice and clean. It's gonna be really helpful for a lot of people. I just wanted to go ahead and sit this next to my original system again, because what made this so great when I first did this was how small and compact it was compared to some of the other dust separator carts that were out there on the internet, let alone with the low profileness of the Dustopper itself compared to a Cyclone. But just how simple and cheap that was to build was really popular. And now you just set this next to it and it's, I don't know if it's translating on video, but it's so much smaller. You know, it's still really nimble, easy to move around. It's crazy. I didn't think that could be beat, but this is really awesome. Naturally, what would a video about a vacuum be without a staged pile of dust? So let's go ahead and clean this up. Now, just from my real world experience the past few weeks using this, the performance has been amazing. I'll bring you in closer. As you can see, all right there in the bag and not in the vacuum. So how much is this whole setup gonna cost? I don't know. It's going to be released soon, and when it is, I'll put a link down in the video description. But I'm told, you know, I have the Festool CT36 dust extractor, and I never put Festool's dust separator on here because I saw some reviews on it that weren't really favorable, and I didn't want to spend the money on that. But I'm told, you know, with the Festool extractor and then their Cyclone on there, I'm told that this whole setup is going to be roughly half of that. So just keep that in mind, and like I said, I'll try to put a link down below when this actually is released, which should be relatively soon. The whole point of this video is to not only show you guys a new product that's coming, but to get your feedback about it. I had questions and feedback myself, and literally just now I heard back from Tom, the owner and inventor. He's just a regular woodworker just like us that developed the product. But I had questions on if the components to turn this into a bagger were going to be available separately, say you already have the extractor, and he said yes. And also, at the same time when he was getting back with me, when I first got this a few weeks ago, I had suggested maybe some latches instead of screwing the bucket down. You know, screwing it down to the vacuum is not a big deal for me, I don't care, but I thought maybe some people would like the idea to keep it separately and just have some quick release latches. and he already came up with that solution as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll pop some pictures up here and show that. But that's what I mean. That's pretty rare chance we get to help an American family-run business improve a product before it's released. So any comments, questions, are you interested at all? Leave it all down in the comments. They're gonna be reading them. But with those latches, I think this thing's gonna be ready to rock and roll. The performance has been awesome. I'm gonna probably create some more content, run some tests and comparisons with this, so stay tuned for that. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I said, just leave comments. What do you think about this?